Welcome to Lesson 3, IHSS Timesheet Violation Training, 66-Hour Weekly Limit Violation. In this lesson, we will discuss what causes a violation, the 66-hour weekly limit, and provide examples of violations for a 66-hour weekly limit. What causes a violation? There are 4 ways that a violation can occur. The provider works more than 40 hours in a work week for a recipient whose maximum weekly hours are 40 or less without receiving county approval. The provider exceeds the recipient's maximum weekly hours, causing the provider to work more overtime than the provider normally works without receiving county approval. The provider works more than the maximum weekly limit of 66 hours when working for multiple recipients, or the provider claims more than 7 hours of travel time in a work week. In this lesson, we will be taking a closer look at the violation for working more than 66 hours in a work week when a provider works for more than one recipient. For providers who work for 2 or more recipients, a provider's weekly maximum hours can be up to 66 hours total across all of their recipients. For example, in one work week, a provider may work 40 hours for recipient A and then 26 hours for recipient B. If the provider is an IHSS or WPCS provider with an exemption, the 66-hour workweek limit does not apply. Now, let's take a closer look at the 66-hour weekly limit violation. We will take a look at 2 examples of violations caused by going over 66 maximum weekly hours. 1, going over 66 hours in a work week, and 2, going over 66 hours in a work week that crosses over into the next pay period. In the first example, we will look at a provider who works for 2 recipients and goes over 66 hours in a work week in the same pay period. Here are 2 timesheets for the same pay period, timesheet B, for the 2 recipients. In work week 2, for the first recipient, the provider claimed 36 hours. In work week 2, for the second recipient, the provider claimed 40 hours. The 36 hours from work week 2 for the first recipient plus the 40 hours from work week 2 for the second recipient is a total of 76 hours. Since this is more than the 66-hour weekly limit, a violation is triggered. In our next example, we will look at a provider who works for 2 recipients and goes over 66 hours in a work week that crosses over into the next pay period. Here are 2 timesheets for the same pay period, timesheet B, for the 2 recipients. In work week 1, for the first recipient, the provider claimed 25 hours. In work week 1, for the second recipient, the provider claimed 26 hours, for a total of 51 hours. However, work week 1 is a crossover week from the previous pay period. The provider had claimed 16 hours for the first recipient for the first 2 days of work week 1. Even though those hours were paid from the previous pay period, those hours still apply to the work week total for work week 1 on this pay period. Adding those 16 hours to 25 hours for this pay period gives a total of 41 claimed hours for work week 1 for the first recipient. This now means that the 41 claimed hours for the first recipient plus the 26 claimed hours for the second recipient is a total of 67 claimed hours for work week 1. Since this is more than the 66-hour weekly limit, a violation is triggered. This concludes Lesson 3, IHSS Timesheet Violation Training, 66-Hour Weekly Limit Violation. Please continue to view additional lessons in the training series to learn more about IHSS Timesheet Violation Training.